Welcome to the final part of the 3-part series of the Mountain Cottage. This one is going to be a tad longer than the other videos due to the extensive list that needs to be done. We're going to decorate the exterior of the cottage, build a workshop, a bridge over to the local resources, a yak farm, a food farm, a mine, and a food and wine cellar to finish it all off. I will also be releasing a combined video of all episodes for those of you that like the long form and want to see it all at once. Maybe put it on the background while you build and create something yourself. Anyway, with all that said, let's get to it. Okay, so something that's really going to help us out later is getting all this rock out of the way. Now we need to figure out how we're going to frame out these windows. So, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah, those look pretty good. I might change the bottom here to something else, but for right now, that's looking all right. Oh, you know what would be cool is this wood that we use upstairs, right? Ooh, let's see. Let's see how that would look. Yeah, I think those look better. At least in the moment I do. Sometimes my mind changes. I like something and then I see it later and I'm like, why did I do that? That doesn't look good. This will not actually change. I really like the way the conifer wood looks with the build. It's a great accent color. There we go. Now this top piece is going to be a little tricky because of that other window. Should we just get rid of that top window? I think so. I don't like how it's connecting to the roof above it. So what if we were to just eliminate that one? Would it make it look weird? No, not really. I think that'll do. Time to complete the same thing on the back of the cottage. I did initially have a hard time getting this side to look right because my windows are out of line due to how the interior is laid out. However, I was able to make it work just fine with a little ingenuity and sacrifice to the old OCD meter. Okay, now while we're up here, let's go ahead and foliage up this roof, shall we? It's amazing what foliage can do to a build. It's an excellent decorative piece. It can appear to be purposefully done for that natural, lush, zenful feel, or it can make your build look old and overgrown. It's definitely worth taking the time to harvest mass amounts of this stuff and apply it in many sorts of matters. Finishing up with the foliage, well, for now, I moved to the front door. I wanted to give the door a trim that matches, but also with some depth. So I delete the edges of the sandstone and replace it with conifer wood to trim out the door. After placing the door, I extended the sandstone out another block to acquire that depth. Now the door looks inserted with a brown trim to make it appear more interesting and inviting. Then I put a window above the door for some natural light to creep into the entryway of the home. And of course, more foliage. The path to the workshop was laid out with the city wall block. It reminds me of paved stone, so it makes sense to utilize it as a path block from time to time. I lay it out all the way to the workshop and place a step down to map out where the bridge will be later. I widened this path a few times trying to find the right width for walking, decorating, and the railing that's going to go up. I don't want it to be huge, but I don't want it to feel cramped either. I picked up and replaced these iron fences because it made more sense to start from the pillar to the cottage instead of from the cottage to the pillar. Then I added some height to the pillars to tie it all in. Alright, time to change these stairs. I like the curvature, but with the square blocks, such as the city wall block, it doesn't look quite right. I ended up doing a very standardized, straight up double step, which actually looks great. And it opens up the path a bit. I didn't like the awkwardness of the curve almost meeting the torch and the railing from the path. Yeah, I just think that looks a lot cleaner. By eliminating a few blocks here and there and replacing it with rough stone block, you can create the illusion of a beaten path. It's a small detail and totally optional, but I really like the way it looks. I have an unpatternized pattern, if that makes sense, that I like to follow when doing this. I'll do 1 or 2 diagonal from each other, or I like to do 3 in the shape of an L, and I'll mix it up and pepper them all over the place. But when it's finished, it's barely noticeable, but it makes your path look a little roughed up, and I like it. So when you're trying to place foliage on fences like this, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but the soil likes to meet the bush and it creates a hump. No worries though. We can just add bushes where we want and then go back with our single block selected and delete the ground that raised up to our bush, and it'll clean it up real nice. The workshop. All right, so I'll need to grab some things that we need, like barrels, buckets, a cauldron, crates, these cloth bags, whatever they are. We also need the workstations like forge, smelter, blast furnace, and just a standard oven. All right, so the way I like to do this is I like to kind of place all of my primary workstations first, and then I will kind of figure out how I want them arranged, and I'll start moving things around and start building the area around the placement that I find that I enjoy. So this thing here, mine is probably going to be, boom, right in this wall. So let's put this thing over here, somewhere like that for now. And I think this would look good right in here. Okay, and that's what will hide the backsplash. I like to frame these things out and give them like their own little workbench area, if that makes sense. If not, you'll see in a minute. And then this thing, maybe that way will work just fine. Okay, a blast furnace, this big old sucker. So we got the bellows in the back that we got to be aware of, like right there. All right, the tools. The tools are going to go right above this. That'll be better framed out here in a minute. Okay, so now coming into the workstation like this, I don't know if I actually like this. So let's grab this thing. If we were to do something like that, that bellows is clear and out of the way, and then maybe we can frame around that with stone, kind of give it its own little encasement. And then maybe we'll grab these things here. And pick that up, and we can move them more central. Like it's the primary workstation here. So if we want it right there, let's go like that. Okay, let's back this up just a little bit. We want it to just barely clip through that. No, it's not too bad. No, it's not too bad at all. Yep, I think that's pretty cool. And then we'll pop a hole right there. It's kind of like the exhaust ventilation, you know, makes sense in my mind. Where's the coffee mug? Gotta have a coffee mug where you're working, just as I do right now. Cauldron. Cauldron should be close by. Okay, so heat, bang, bang, bang on the anvil. Dip in a cauldron. I like to build things to make sense. Not always, of course, but most of the time that's where my mind is at. I feel like it helps me to design, decorate, and detail. And then, let's see, about chest high. Is that a good height? That is a good height. And now what we can do to make this piece right here, the backsplash is poking through, make more sense, is we can do the same thing right here. And I guess we can even do it here too, because this is just a void behind the stairs. Yeah, just like that. That's fine. That looks all right. Now moving on to this beast. There we go, that's kind of cool. We may do more with that in a little bit, or change it up a little bit, but as of right now, I think that's pretty neat. Get them some learning. Put the rug like right over here, and we'll kind of make it just a little crooked. Gotta get a couple of mannequins here, that way she can display her works. So throw that bad boy on there, and then this, throw the dragon sword on there. Okay, daggers. Well, I had my recording paused as I was building. I'm an idiot. Anyway, I'll show you guys real quick what I did. I changed this up over here, placed the daggers on the table. I threw some... By the way, if you're curious on how to do this, you take your dagger stand and you place it down, put your daggers on it, and then you encase it with whatever material you want, at least along the bottom. So what I've discovered is that palm wood will show the daggers the best, like that. I tried using some other woods, but the daggers would clip through them and they wouldn't look as clean. Palm wood seems to work the best so far. Kind of cool though. So I threw those lights up there, threw some vegetation around it, made this flower bed right here in front of the fence, and I planted some trees around. And I got some up on the mountain back there, some more up there. That way when you're looking at it and they grow, you see some trees up on the hills behind the house as well. I took the sconces down that were here, and I put up this hanging light, and then I put the sconces up there. I think that's everything. Hopefully. I'm really pleased with how this workshop turned out. There are so many ways to design these, and this is just one of many variations possible. Okay, let's get this bridge constructed. Okay, so in order to make this work, let's just lay out some measurements here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now that we got that laid out, we can know exactly where we want our pillars. Alright, after looking at these pillars that we placed, I felt like they needed to be raised another block. And I'm glad I did. It looks way better, especially with the iron fences that will be placed shortly. I think I want to replace that sandstone down there with wood. I think it would look better. Yep, I like the wood better. Let's check this out. So I added the arch to it, 2 blocks of wood, and then the wooden stick frames. There's a little gap, and then a trim piece underneath of it. The best design ever? Of course not. Kind of cool? Sure, yeah. The final product of the bridge came out pretty cool. Like I said with the workshop, there are so many ways to build these, and I have a ton more ideas for in the future. But this is what works for this build. It didn't need anything crazy, just something to simply reach the resources on the other side. And as you can tell, the trees are starting to grow. Those still aren't full-grown trees, but they're getting there. And you can kind of see from here, get a good view of that house with some trees all around it. I can't wait till those things are fully grown. All right, so next is the yak farm. Bam, just like that. Okay, grab our hoe here. We want to bring this nice, luscious green moss in here. Perfect. And now this here is going to be the path to the place. So when we're making our fence, we got to keep that in mind. Bed, feeder right there. Go ahead and throw that food in there now. Yep, super simple. Maybe we'll pop an airflow window here and an airflow window here. Oop, here. If you can imagine, it get pretty stinky in there. All right, so we could do this a few ways. I mean, we could use these if we wanted to. That would look good. But I think I want to try something else. I think I want to stick to the common theme here. No more iron fences because those things are expensive. But if we take a look inside here, I've used these window frames to create railing. So we could do a combination of that mixed with some cobblestone walls, which I think would look really cool. So if we just start like right there, right, and we'll just lay this first layer to kind of give us an idea of what kind of shape we want here. Just slightly imperfect, you know, and we can come around this side and kind of do the same thing. Let's see, how does that look? It's not It's not terrible. Not exactly what I'm going for, though. So let's bring it out a little bit more. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, and now we grab this guy right there. Or do we just bypass the tree altogether and do something like that? I have a pretty cool idea for this gate to the yak and goat pen. At the time of building this, I wasn't sure if it was going to work. But as I began placing stone, it started to come together pretty well. Yes, there is no physical gate. And yes, the livestock does occasionally get out. But that's the blacksmith's problem, not mine. Now can we? Oh, we can. Something like that, I think. I'll come place that in there like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay. Now, we just mess this up a little bit. We don't want it to be perfect. Something like that. And then we grab our fences here. And no, that was an accident. There we go. You know what? This one, I think we're going to try and get what, 3 in here. Yeah, it does not like this spot, does it? There it is. Okay, not bad, kind of cool, a little different. I know there's somebody out there going, ugh, dude, really? And I'm like, yeah, dude, sweet, isn't it? But I mean, ultimately, right, it's my build, so. And now?
A yak.
Gotcha. Now, I think I want to get a goat or 2 in here as well. Yeah, this goat. I want to get like 2 of those. This goat was a damn pain. My bait kept rolling down the hill and I kept getting busted by the goat and its taming would reset. This was an hour and a half-ish ordeal that I considered turning into a humorous montage of all my failed attempts. The video's already long enough, so I decided against it.
And there we go.
Onto the garden. This garden doesn't need to be too big. It's literally for one person, the blacksmith, who will never really use it. So with that in mind, I stretched out some farming soil, put up a deteriorating half wall, a couple crates, of course a garden gnome, my wife would be proud, she loves these damn things, and a scarecrow. For crops, I put in some corn, wheat, and pumpkins. It's a pretty small area, but it goes a long way to make the build as a whole look more complete.
Alright, yeah, I think that does it for the garden. And then it just needs to grow. Alright, I got some more trees here. And if I do this right, yep. Damn.
To get these trees planted in this biome, I had to remove the dirt and put in some farming soil.
There. No, not there. There. No, I only got 2 left, so I gotta be careful. Come on. Come on. Yes. No, that was the last one. All right, we'll take some evergreens. We'll plant some evergreens in here too. Mix it up a little bit. We'll do the same thing right next to this one. And I think one would look good down here on this little island. Cool. I got some flax that we can plant around just to kind of add some color. Now, the mine.
For the mine, I have a few ideas. The main entrance will be here. Then around that, I'll put a few barrels, a kiln, a wagon, and some torches, which I actually forget to do until later, but it's all right. They make it in there.
All right, so we want the entrance to be right here. There we go. We're not gonna get too crazy with this, just for aesthetics, right? Now I guess we just frame this out. Yeah, see, something like that. Super simple, but effective.
The finished mine came out awesome. The idea was something simple, not jaw-dropping, but it's doing what it should by adding more interest to the entire build.
Okay, I think all we have now is the cellar. Let's clear this area out down here.
I had to place a secondary altar outside with the same radius to keep my build protected so I can delete the one in the cellar and work on the area with nothing in my way.
All right, now we got to figure out exactly where we want the cellar door. Now I don't want it right in front of my fireplace, so maybe like right here should be good. All right, so there we go. We got that mapped out now. All right, that should be enough to work with. And then we want this altar there. All right, let's pick up this brazier and we'll put it in that corner. And then we'll put this one in that corner. We'll pick this one up and then we can get rid of that. All right, there's that. Now we can start decorating the inside of this thing. Now it's a cellar, right? So I'm thinking food preservation. I'm thinking wine, you know, things of that nature.
While decorating the cellar, I made sure to place lots of jars for the food preservation discussed a bit ago. I also wanted some spare dishes and a few candles, maybe a couple plants. Oh, and I left some of the terrain in there on the ceiling on purpose. I wanted the cellar to be earthy just like the rest of the build. I also put up some foliage in there as well to match.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we can come out here. And we can get rid of this. Ta-da! Alright. I started decorating the porch a little bit. This is really the last thing we have to do. Well, second to last thing. But I think all this is needing is a rug and maybe a book. Okay, this front porch needs like a doormat. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, and the book. Oh, perfect. I can put it on the bench. Boom. Oh, yeah, that's way better. Okay, maybe do it like that. Oh, yeah. Pretty zenful. The trees are coming in too. They're all full. Okay. I'm going to clean up my mess over here. My crates that I got with all my materials. And then we'll move on to the very last step. All right, the very last thing is to get Rochelle placed. So we'll place her here in her work area, and then we will assign her to her bed up here. There we go. And the Ayers Mountain Cottage is complete.
So overall, I'm pleased with the cottage. It was a lot of fun to build and it really allowed me to stretch my imagination. I already have a load of ideas for the next build and I hope you join me on that as well. Feel free to let me know what you would have done differently or even what you didn't like. The feedback helps me become a better builder. We fuel each other's creativity together. But that'll do it for this episode. Y'all take care now.